In my last couple of videos, we've been exploring the illustrious world of international business class travel and asking ourselves the question, is it worth the hefty price tag? So far, we've reviewed Air France and United's Polaris business class, and in today's video, we're flying in Air Canada's signature business class cabin from Casablanca, Morocco to Montreal, Canada. Oh, and in this video, I'm doing things a little differently, and I'm not going to share the price of this ticket until the very end of the video after I've given you my entire review. And then I'm going to want to hear from you, is the price higher or lower than you expected, and is it worth it? So let's get right into it, but before we do, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. For those of you who are new to the world of business class, there are typically three main components that make up the experience. Number one would be the seat. How comfortable and private is it, and what's in the amenity kit? Number two, the food. How does it taste, and how much do you get to eat? And number three, the service. How helpful and friendly are the flight attendants, and do they do anything that's really above and beyond? We'll be diving into each of these three categories so you get a full picture of exactly what it's like to fly Air Canada's signature class. First up, the seat. My seat was 4A, and I was immediately impressed with how bright and fresh it looked, along with the rest of the cabin. The seats don't look like they're very private when you're walking onto the plane, but when you're seated, you really cannot see any of the passengers around you, and it felt like they couldn't see me either. My console was to my left, and it opened up to reveal some storage, a charging port, and a headphone jack for the entertainment system. I did charge my phone in here, but I would never put anything in this little storage space because I would definitely leave it behind, but I'm sure it's a useful compartment for some people. And right next to it was another compartment that held the remote control for the entertainment system, and the remote control also had a button to call the flight attendant and to turn on the overhead light, which was really convenient. A pair of over-ear headphones was supposed to be resting right on top of the console, but for the second flight in a row, my headphones were missing. I don't know what is going on, but luckily, unlike my last flight, I was very excited to see that this time I had both of my windows. Anyway, there was a reading light right next to my head, plenty of legroom at my feet, and a tray table right in front of me with a full bottle of water and the Acqua di Parma amenity kit. I'd never heard of Acqua di Parma before this flight, but this bag looked like the nicest amenity kit that I had ever received on an airplane, so let's take a look at what was inside. Inside this amenity kit was a pair of socks, a dental kit, earplugs, hand cream and lip balm, and a glasses wipe. So it was kind of bare bones and a little surprising given the size of the bag, but it had all the usual suspects, so I can't complain. So far, I was already very pleased with the configuration of the seat, but I still haven't even shown you the best part. Each seat had this cool touchscreen with lots of features where you could call the flight attendant and adjust the lighting settings. But even cooler was the option to turn your chair into a massage chair, which I don't think I've ever experienced on a business class flight before. Granted, when I did turn this feature on, I couldn't really feel it, but I still think it's cool that it's there. This touchscreen is also where you can conveniently convert your seat into a lie flat bed, which is, after all, one of the biggest draws of flying business class. To set up the bed, I put on the seat cover, my pillow, and my blanket. And when I finally laid down to get some sleep, this bed was so comfortable. And as you can see, I had plenty of legroom. I would say this is the most comfortable lie flat seat I've ever experienced on a flight. And super quick, the last part about the seat that we have to talk about is the entertainment system. I was scrolling through the entertainment system and I was really impressed with the selection of both movies and TV shows. It seems like they have plenty of options, so you can definitely find something of interest. I spent a lot of my time looking at the map of the flight route, which is always fun, but overall, I give the entertainment system a big thumbs up. So all things considered, I'd have to rate this seat a full 5 out of 5. And that brings us to our next category to review, which is the food, another huge draw to flying business class. As soon as we boarded, we got the menu for drinks and our dinner options. The main course choices were beef fillet, chicken tagine, cod fillet, or pumpkin-filled pasta. You could order drinks throughout the entire flight, and I loved this little note calling your attention to the galley where you could grab a snack at any time. For dinner, the appetizers were a Moroccan shakshuka, chickpea puree, date and pumpkin salad, and a green salad and bread and butter. The appetizer was so delicious. And for dinner, I had the cod fillet, which was also so tasty and flavorful. And lastly, for dessert, I had some fresh fruit. This meal was delicious, and I ate every single bite except for the cheese because I don't eat cheese, but I don't have any complaints about this dinner. Now, if you've already watched my last flight about United's Polaris business class, you've already heard me say that breakfast is
notoriously the worst meal that you're gonna get on an airplane.
But today we are in luck because there was no breakfast on this flight. Since this was a daytime flight, my dinner meal was actually lunch, and then later on they served us a smaller meal for kind of an afternoon snack. So for this smaller meal, which was not breakfast food, we had cabbage leaves stuffed with potato, zucchini, pepper, cheese, and olives. This meal was definitely not special and not as good as the first meal, but it really wasn't terrible, so again, I'm not gonna complain about it. And finally, to top off the food experience, the flight attendant walked around with a basket of snacks that were from the galley. I couldn't decide what I wanted, but I felt like I was taking way too long, so I ended up just grabbing the first thing in front of me, which was a chocolate bar. Overall, I'd have to give the food on this flight a 4.5 out of 5. I probably would have given it a full 5 out of 5 if I had enjoyed that smaller meal more. But I mean, 4.5 is really good. And lastly, let's talk about the service, which is typically the quickest topic. The flight attendants were friendly and professional, so no criticisms there. The only thing I would have changed about the service would probably be the pre-departure drinks. We were offered water and orange juice, but this was the first business class flight that I've taken where I wasn't offered some sort of sparkling wine or champagne for pre-departure. And I know it's not a big deal, it's not a huge complaint by any means, but I just think that there's something about sparkling wine and champagne that immediately elevates the experience and really builds up your excitement to take off into the skies in a business class cabin. I know it's a very nitpicky thing, it's just a personal preference. Also, there was nothing above and beyond about the service of this flight. For example, there was no personalization or anything unexpected. So for those reasons, I'm gonna rate the service a 4 out of 5. And that leaves an overall score of 4.5 out of 5, which is a very high rating. In my opinion, Air Canada's business class isn't one that's really sought after, but I thought it was very underrated and I would happily fly with them again. It honestly rivaled my experience with Air France, which I thoroughly enjoyed and which I feel like is a way more sought after business class product. But the last detail that we have to discuss is the price. How much did this ticket cost, and is this high rating worth the price? On a typical day, this one-way ticket from Casablanca, Morocco to Montreal, Canada costs $2,300. Let me know in the comments if this is more or less than what you expected, and if you think it's worth it. If you don't think it's worth it, let me know if you think it's worth $100 and 60,000 credit card points, which is how much I paid for this flight, plus my connecting business class flight to New York. And if you're new to travel hacking using credit card points, let me know in the comments if you'd like me to make a full video explaining how to get started and how I booked this flight using points. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more exploration, inspiration, and travel tips. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!